The transfer portal is alive and well, and I'm going to say some very irresponsible things tonight. Welcome on into SEC Unfiltered. He's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson. We have news coming out of Norman. We have news coming out of Oxford. 3 players have officially announced their intent on where they're landing in 2025, and we are back to give you portal grades. What are the things that you need to know about the certain players joining us program, and also what does this mean for the future of what these programs could be, especially when you look at Oklahoma football and then, of course, Ole Miss at the most important position. But I'm Cole Thompson. He's Dave Shumate. Make sure you like the video, hit the ring notification, and, of course, subscribe to the channel because we talk college football, including portal editions throughout the spring window every single day. Download the podcast version of the show, wherever you get your podcast listening systems. Follow us on the socials, link in the description. Follow Dave at Dave Shumate SEC, me at Mr. Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. And as always, we are proudly brought to you by our friends over at FANDUEL. Go visit FANDUEL.com right now, /SECU, and get started with $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. The MLB is back in swing. NBA playoffs are about to begin. NHL playoffs are about to begin. So lay down $5, win that bet. You're going to get $200+ in bonus bets. Sign up today at FanDuel.com /SECU. Dave, before we begin, we're back. We have transfer portal news, and I got a good feeling that this is going to be an offseason where we actually will have a lot to talk about moves that could affect the SEC and how we look at the entire conference.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Oklahoma upgraded their roster significantly here in the run game. We'll talk about both those guys coming up. And like you mentioned, I think Ole Miss added another dynamic under-the-radar weapon that I think if you watch the film, you can see why Lane Kiffin would be fired up to have a new toy in that backfield along with Austin Simmons. So, yeah, we got 3 good guys to talk about tonight. Bear fired up about it.
Let's get started with the news that really kind of set the tone for this entire thing. And it was the latest news. We got to talk about Oklahoma football bettering its run game with the addition of Cal's Jaydn Au. Now, Au decided to enter the portal late last night, coming off a phenomenal season with the Golden Bears. Over 3,400 all-purpose yards in the last 3 seasons. That's the 3rd most among all FBS running backs returning. He was a first-team All-Pac-12 performer in 2023. He's got 1 year of eligibility left, and he wants to be a part of a program that feels like it's taking that next step forward. Cal in the ACC, there's still a team that maybe could have been competitive, but competitive is bowl eligibility. Oklahoma, underneath Jim Nagy, underneath John Mateer, Ben Arbuckle, what they've added in the wide receiver position. They felt like they needed to get that last Hershey's kiss, that cherry on top of an offseason to better themselves and put themselves in a great position to where they can be competitive with a daunting schedule in 2025. That's what Jaydn Au is going to be. When you look at what the Sooners have done in just a short couple of months underneath Brett Venables, it does not change the way that you should feel about BV. He could still be on the hot seat. Well, he is on the hot seat. He could still be fired next year. There's a shot that he is fired next year. But he is making the right adjustments to put his team in a better position to where they will be competitive. And most importantly, Dave, where the offense is going to look completely different than what it was in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Jaydn Au addition is, no-brainer. I don't think anybody could argue this is a great addition to some questions in the backfield. But again, I think the main question on how this run game will go will ultimately be told up front. I think everybody kind of thinks about that. I already posted something on Twitter today. An Oklahoma fan commented, it was like, well, what about that offensive line? It's like, you're 100% right. I mean, Bill Bedenbaugh has his hands full. Again, hopefully they got some injury help this year. But again, Jaydn Au, couldn't ask for a better running back out of the portal. Again, can do everything, shows patience, vision. Also, I think an underrated skill of him is catching the ball out of the backfield. You see that a couple of times last year from his guy Mendoza, who's now where? Indiana?
Indiana.
Yeah, he's at Indiana. But no, Jaydn Au, phenomenal addition here for Oklahoma. You got to be fired up if you're a Sooner. I'm fired up to cover him in the SEC because, I think we saw Auburn fans are real accustomed to this guy after seeing him the last 2 years in Berkeley in 23. Then obviously the last year out on the plains where the Bears got it done. But yeah, I don't even know how you could argue this is a very great addition, one of the better additions of the entire portal season, certainly this early spring portal season.
Did have a good season against Alabama. Didn't have a good season last year. Only finished with 385 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. Was dealing with some injuries. I'm glad you brought up the Auburn game. He averaged 4.9 yards of play in that contest. And then, of course, he had over 1,300 rushing yards during his sophomore season. So there's a lot to like about where he is. And I love the comment section already. OTT to go. It's going to happen this way. You brought up the pass catching capabilities. The thing that I love about this more than anything else is John Mateer comes in an offense that loves to run the football. But when they run the football, even though Ben Arbuckle is going to be a dude that wants to uncork it, he's going to trust his run game and his running quarterback. What do we know about this Oklahoma offense last year? It ranked 11th among SEC teams in rushing, 159 total yards per contest in SEC play. They're going to be in a much better position this year, whether it is with Jaydn Au, with Gavin Sawchuk, what else they're returning in the backfield with several other names that they really like. It's a way to where you feel like this is our bell cow. This is our dude that is going to tote the rock, and he is going to get those 20 carries per game. But if we got to turn to a secondary pitch, not the end of the world. We feel really good about that. We got to turn to a third pitch. We got that as well. This just allows you to kind of get everybody else in line of, hey, pass catching back. Who can be that role? Third down back on short yardage situations. Who can be that role? Who can help us move the chains when we come out of our third drive and Ott needs a break and a breather? That's what this move does. He was an all Pac-12 player. He had a really good start to the season last year before injuries kind of stockpiled on up. And John Mateer was at his best at Washington State when he had a stable run game. He's got himself a stable run game now.
Yeah, I also think until the passing game, like the passing threats, like Giovanni Gibson, we heard he's a little banged up, the Pine Bluff transfer. It could be a slow start for the Sooners from that standpoint, even at the tight end position, a little to be determined at that spot as well. I think Jaydn Au here being potentially a check down as you're getting your feet wet early in this 2025 season for, as you mentioned, Arbuckle and John Mateer. I think that could be another serviceable thing too. I mentioned his receiving ability, but I just think overall for the offense to open that up.
And the other thing that's going to always be safe for you is by trusting FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook is here to make every moment count. This app is safe, secure, super easy to use. If you already have an account, go to FanDuel, and FanDuel's offering great promotions every day to all users, like Profit Boost tokens, new features like Parlay Hub, build your own same-game parlay, or from one of the other popular SGPs already made for you at Parlay Hub. If you haven't signed it up, go to FanDuel.com/SECU to learn more. That's FanDuel.com/SECU to get in the action with offers you won't want to miss. Disclaimer: must be 21 and present in select states or 18 plus in DC. First online will wager money only. $5 deposit is required. Bonus issue with non-withdrawable bonus bet, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or go ahead and visit the Kansas Star Casino underneath the Kansas Star Casino LLC. Make sure that you also go call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPENY in New York. All right, Dave, let's go ahead and break this down as we love to do the grading scale. And we're going to do this for all the players that we go through in this spring portal. But just really quickly, what is this? How do we look at this overall offense now with a guy like Jaydn Au in the backfield?
Yeah, folks, as you can see, you probably listened to our stuff before, going back to the winter, and even last night we broke one down. But the grading scale is kind of a dumbed-down version. Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning used this. The Nick Saban, Bill Belichick critical factors, just too many numbers. You had to get quick answers out. So this is where this was simplified by Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart here. So they both used it at Oregon and Georgia. But elite, as you're going to see, there's LSU players here as an example. This is something LSU uses as well. But it's a day one. It speaks for itself. Day one starter. Guy's going to be a top number one position player at his position in the country. First round draft pick is what you're projecting there. All league, not that much further off there. Easily a 2-year starter, probably all conference guy. Just may not be what you see at a Patrick Peterson type level. It's still a really good player. Most of your team's not going to operate in this elite all league level or category. Winnable plus, winnable minus. This is where most of your teams should be in the SEC. If you have a team full of a bunch of winnable plus guys and you're winning because of these guys, maybe not an immediate starter, but this guy gives you 2 to 3 years of solid experience, leader, veteran. These are the type of guys you want hit all your critical factors from a physical athletic ability standpoint. You win because of these guys. Winnable minus. They kind of got to surround themselves with other good players like winnable plus, then obviously all league elite guys. But I kind of think about it at the offensive line spot, like a lot of guards, interior guards. It's like, yeah, he helps us, but we're not winning because of him. Like he could be your 5th, 6th offensive lineman. That's where a lot of these guys are. Than Jag, player of interest. Most of these SEC schools are not operating this except for a walk-on. For this position here, Bear, I'm going to go I'm split right now. I thought I was going to go one way, Bear. I'm going to go winnable plus. And I think it's just his ability right now. I can't go all league right now because I do think there's a little bit of it that I'm like, it's a little bit out of his control. If the offensive line's really good, if you just told me that, I think it's an all league back, certainly. I just think winnable plus until proven otherwise. And that may not even be fair to Jaydn Au here. That's just how I'm kind of viewing this, is the offensive line is what I really have my sights on for Oklahoma. I know what Jaydn Au can do. I feel really comfortable with Shumate. This run game is going to take off if the offensive line can maneuver. So I got winnable plus, Bear, but in a seeding arrow going upwards to all league.
See, I'm very close to giving out the other one, which is why I have to go ahead and reel myself back in. I do believe all league. And you want to know what? It's because I think he's the best running back that's in the transfer portal of any period. You look at the 2 names that were in the early spring, the early fall window when it was Justice Haynes, and then you also throw in Rasul Faison. Those were the 2 that most people were paying attention to. I think Jaydn Au clears both of them. When you look at his numbers, his production, his consistency, the role that he has in Cal's offense, and now I'm getting him involved in an offensive personnel that is predicated on making sure the running backs are a 3-down player. And what does that 3-down player mean? It's not just toting the rock. It's being an effective pass catcher. It's being involved in pass protection. And Jaydn Au's done all those things. And he's working with Shumate. And I truly believe that Oklahoma, going into the spring, has landed not only the best quarterback in the transfer portal, but the best running back in the transfer portal. And they feel like they may have gotten a steal in Giovanni Gibson out of Arkansas Pine Bluff, to where they've added in 3 pieces in the last 6 months to where I'm not ready to go ahead and put them in.
He's got to be healthy, though.
He's got to be healthy. He's got to be healthy. But
that's
Dave,
what my concern is.
I'm at this point where, and I've already made this clear, I am going to say some very irresponsible things about Oklahoma this offseason. I am. The way that I felt about Tennessee, baby. The way that I felt about Tennessee with Nico is now how I kind of feel about Oklahoma, because of they've crossed off every single little minute thing that could hinder their success. They feel really good about their quarterback position. They feel really good about their run game. And you're watching as a Jim Nagy who knows that this is an NFL running back. Let's get him in our offense. Let's get him involved. Let's get him to tote the rock. Let's put him in a prime position to where he can be successful. And let's take some pressure off our quarterback. And that's what you're going to have with Jaydn Au as a complementary piece alongside with Shumate. It's now a Batman and Robin in your backfield that is completely different than what you had last season. And the offense was abysmal last year.
Yeah, you don't have to convince me on Mateer and Odd. I'm a full on board with him. It's the guys.
But I'm telling you, the Crimson Kool-Aid that I am drinking, that I am mixing together right now, I am serving a batch of it to Sooner Nation really everywhere until we get to the end of fall camp. Because I am very high on what this offense can be. And the thing that really stands out, Dave, I just love the fact that Shumate and Ben Arbuckle are getting a player like Jaydn Au for this offense. Like, it's the fact that it's this offense working with Jaydn Au. That, to me, is what really stands on out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Stevie G. Is Mateer Au the best portal? He didn't say it, but I would say it is. Mateer Au the best portal quarterback running back in the SEC this year. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what would be a close second. Yeah, it definitely is. It's like I'm saying, I'm not those. It's definitely. I mean, it could be the best combo in the entire country, not just the SEC. It probably is. I'm just worried about the guys in front of them, and obviously we got another guy to talk about tonight at some point. In addition to that spot, I'm concerned about.
At the end of the day, you can convince me that Shumate and Jaydn Au will lead the SEC in passing yards, in rushing yards, in total yards of offense, in total touchdowns, and I will buy it. There are other pieces that have to go involved for a team to go on a run to a national championship, i.e. offensive line, replacements on defense, having good play calling. Those are things that have to be on display. But I feel really good about those two as my leaders in the locker room and focal points of my offense going into a year that is critical for not just the Sooners, but for Brent Venables' future as a head coach out there. The other name that we have to talk about is Jake Mucula, who's coming on in from Stanford. And again, this is one that we know for a fact can sign right now and didn't have to wait for transfer portal windows to open because Troy Taylor was fired. Last season, started 13 games, has started 16 games throughout his career. Here's a fun stat I found when looking him up earlier. Mucula was the highest graded offensive lineman with at least 7 games played in pass blocking stats per Pro Football Focus. So this is the dude that has gotten success blocking for a quarterback before. And that, to me, is a major sign for a guy like John Mateer that is not afraid to tuck and run, that is not afraid to utilize his legs in the open field, but has that cannon of an arm to where if you want to watch him uncork it 50 yards down the field, he can absolutely do so.
Yeah, this addition to me, it's sixth guy. He's probably your sixth, seventh guy. Sure. We'll compete for a starting spot. I mean, he's more of a versatile, started at center, guard spot. Again, there's not a lot of guys like that. Kind of a sawed-off guy. I went back and watched the Louisville game they played this year, and he played center there. 69 is his number. Sawed off, doesn't really have a high ass. So I don't know if there's a lot of anchor there. I'll be interested to see what position they're trying to get him in. But again, you can't have that because inevitably you're going to, hopefully for Oklahoma, it's not as bad as last year, but every team in the country is going to have some nicks and bruises, whether they miss an offensive lineman in the middle of a game and someone has to come finish a game for them. I think this is what this kid is. I think this is where he is. I think he is a total – I think he's a finished type of game guy. If you had to start him for a couple games, you'd be fine with it. I just think Mucula isn't a kid you want to go. If he's starting when they go open up or if he's playing when Michigan comes to town, that would concern me a little bit. But I think you can never have enough offensive line depth that has played in a Power 4 conference before and has played 3 positions. So give the kid credit. Again, I think this is an addition. Certainly, we'll give the grade here in a minute. But I think it's more of just he's a guy. He's a guy. He can help with depth. And like I mentioned, he can never have enough depth on the offense on either side of the line of scrimmage.
It's always going to be a winnable plus for me, and I'm just going to throw out my grade right now simply because of you need offensive.
You think they're going to win because of this guy?
No, but what I will say is that I don't feel like that you're going to have a drop-off between him and who would be the backup going into this year. Like, I feel really good if he was my 6th offensive lineman on the interior. Like, if he had to start for 2 or 3 games in conference play, I don't think it's a death sentence. I think it's actually still a decent sign. I will say that I think that you don't need to start him right away. I think that he's got to earn it in Bill Beatonbow's system, but he has experience playing. More importantly, he has experience blocking for a quarterback that was mobile during his time when he was out in Palo Alto. And he also had one of the highest pass blocking grades in college football for an interior offensive lineman last year for a team that needs offensive line help. Again, this team was abysmal. They gave up the most sacks among Power 4 teams last season. And now they have a quarterback that they believe in the right system, and they have the right system in place with Ben Arbuckle, that he could be that dude. Unless you're a guy that has never started before at the FBS level in a Power 4 program, 90% of the time, I'm going to give you a winnable plus grade. So actually,
damn, Barry, your roster to be the greatest roster ever assembled in college.
I'm always
what would you give, like, I'm asking, what would you give like Garrett Dellinger? He's like a winner. You'd give him like a rare. Like you started for LSU the last couple of years on the offensive line. Like he's a winnable plus to me. I was like, damn, Barry, you're giving this guy, it's going to be, even my guy Steve backup center is a Sooner fan saying, like,
listen,
I'd rather take line if their backup center is a winnable plus.
I would rather, if you have experience starting at a Power 4 program and you go to an organization like Oklahoma that gave the most sacks and the second most.
I'm just saying him individually, not their situation. I think it's an addition for you that you
right. No,
take.
But me personally, it's always going to be a winnable plus because if you're an experienced offensive lineman, you can't teach experience. You either have it or you don't. And you need to be able to feel good about coming in and starting in a pinch. What if he ends up seeing reps at left guard one game and then he plays center another game and it ends up being a reason why Oklahoma's offensive line doesn't miss a beat? Now, I'm not saying that he's going to start week 1 or that he's going to start when they play against Michigan or he's going to start in the Red River Shootout. But I will say, whenever I can get an offensive lineman that has reps underneath his belt, proven reps at a Power 4 level, and has played for a coach in a pro-style offense, I'm going to take that 9 times out of 10 and call that a victory. So you've already heard my grade. It's a winnable plus because of regardless, I feel like that it's an upgrade to the overall offensive line room for Bill Beatonbow. But Dave, let's go to the chart. Elite, all league, winnable plus, winnable minus, Jag. Where do you have a guy like Jake Mucula going into this year?
He's a winnable minus to me. I think he's a guy you can win with. You're not going to go win because of him. He's not going to be one of your top 2 offensive linemen. I just think if this guy's one of their better offensive linemen in this league, after going back and watching the Louisville game, there's either not very good defensive lines in this league, or, I mean, I'd be shocked if this guy's a top 2 or 3 lineman for them, and Oklahoma is really good up front, is what I would say. He's a winnable minus. I think he's a depth guy, 6th, 7th guy. I just think the defensive lines in this league will be totally different than what he saw in the ACC. So I think it'll be adjustment. I think he could get you through a game if there's an injury, if somebody went down, certainly. Like you mentioned, there's something to be said. He's played a lot of Power 4 football. I think that can help you get through a game. Maybe if you had to play a game or two because someone went down, certainly. Versatility. I mean, Swiss Army knife, you love that he can play 3 positions. So I think there's some positives. I just think winnable minus. I think you'd be winning. You'd have to be – I think this guy's more of a
we're winning with, not winning.
More of a trailer than a truck.
Fair. Okay. Again, we have different opinions on how we go about this, but to me, what I care about, what you care about, they end up being the exact same thing. A solid backup that you can ask to start in a pinch and feel pretty good about where your offensive line is at multiple different spots. I think that's a win in itself. Here's another win in itself. Having great backup quarterback, having a consistent number 2 that you can trust that has proven I can win at the highest level. And no, the guy that we're about to talk about has not won at the highest level, but he did take home a D2 national championship before leaving to go to Oxford, and that would be starting quarterback from Ferris State, Trinidad Chambless. Won the Division II national championship last season. Now he's had to go join forces with Lane Kiffin. 2,925 passing yards last year, 26 total touchdowns, and if that's not enough, Davey also rushed for over 1,000 yards and had 25 touchdowns on the ground. He was a finalist for the Harlan Hill Trophy. For those of you that don't know, that's the trophy that is given out to the quote-unquote Heisman Trophy winner at the Division II level. And now he gets to join forces with the guy who knows quarterbacks. He also gets to work alongside with Austin Simmons and A.J. Maddox. Pierce Clarkson, the former Louisville transfer, comes on in. He's probably not going to win the starting job coming out, but he's got 2 years of eligibility left. And the big thing that we can take away in all this is that Ole Miss has got itself a quarterback that has played underneath pressure, regardless of if it's against quality SEC competition.
Yeah, I'm actually going back and watching his highlights. I'm actually fired up for this kid. They can use him in the red zone. I think that's where they could really – he reminds me, if Ole Miss fans are listening, they'll remember him. Former Oregon, former Ole Miss player back when Houston Nutt was there, like in 2010, 11. Jeremiah Masoli.
Yeah.
That is who this kid reminds me of. Like shifty, good vision. Tough. Like he's not little. Like he's just stocky and has some mass to him. But it's tough to see over the line of scrimmage. Like he plays with good lean. I like the way this kid plays. I think they're going to. It's Lane Kiffin. He's definitely going to use this toy. And man, I think this is one of the sneaky portal editions. He's a fun player to go back and watch. I am really fired up to see this kid consistently play, Bear. I love this edition. I think this is a little Taysom Hill. I'm not comparing him to Taysom Hill. No. Have the Saints use him. But I'm pretty fired up about this one, Bear. It's one of my overall favorite portal gets. I think this kid could legitimately win the backup job. It's Pierce Clarkson, A.J. Maddox after him. I think this kid is definitely the backup. He's proven. Maybe even, surprises wins the job. I would be shocked. But I do think there is a place for this kid on this roster. I think Ole Miss, one of the winners of the spring transfer portal so far, certainly.
I'm gonna agree with you completely on the Jeremiah Masoli take. Like I was watching some of his games. I was watching the national championship for D2 today on the highlights. The way he moves, you just can't take him down initially. And I do like that he has a little bit of that meat and potatoes type feel to his body to where it is going to be a challenge to bring him down. Now, again, there are 3 things that you got to ask yourself. Number 1, can he play against SEC competition? Because if it is a massive jump up from D2 to not even the FCS level, we're going all the way up to probably the best, if not the second best, however you want to look at this. I call it the best competition in the college football, but other people will argue with me. That's an argument for another day. Can he make that jump? Number two, how quickly can he learn the ins and outs of this offense underneath Charlie Wise and Lane Kiffin to where he does have a substantial role for this unit? And third and foremost, can he build that rapport with the wide receivers at an early stage to where if they had to throw him into a starting role, you feel very confident? The thing that stood out last year about Austin Simmons, and you remember hearing Lane Kiffin talk about this after the Georgia game, if Jackson Dart missed the rest of that performance, they were going to feel okay about where the offense was. Would they have taken a step back? Yes, but they felt like that Austin Simmons and his rapport with Caden Lee, what he had working with Jordan Watkins and what he had with Caden Priestcorn, all those reps throughout practice would have eventually benefited and paid off. That, to me, is going to be the biggest question when it comes to Trinidad Chambliss early on, because if I love the way that he plays football, it's that backyard BS style of go ahead and bring me down. Oh, wait, you can't. So watch me just go ahead and take on off. If he did this type of production in the SEC instead of D2, number one overall pick. I mean, like, that's how talented of a player we're talking about. He would have made history alongside Jaden Daniels and Johnny Manziel as somebody who had over 1,000 rushing yards and over 2,000 passing yards. He would have made history with that. But I want to be able to watch all those things transition. It's a really nice find. And also, it's Lane Kiffin. Like Lane finds these weird players out of nowhere that end up becoming just superstars. And honestly, with 2 years of eligibility, if Austin Simmons doesn't end up being great, or if Austin Simmons is amazing and he wants to go elsewhere, or we have another Nico situation, this is a really good backup plan to where you feel good about the overall consistency of your offense.
No, I 100% agree. This is probably I mean, if it wasn't for Jaydn not coming in, this is definitely would be I think Ole Miss would be the winner of the day. I mean, again, I love this take. I definitely see a spot on this kid, on this roster, on this two deep, making impact, and it screams red zone. And again, I think you always got to look at injuries. We don't ever talk about that potential, that stuff. You don't want to talk about it, but it's just stuff you got to talk about depth. Hey, I think this kid could go play some games for him as well. So I'm fired up. I think it's a big addition for Ole Miss coming over from Ferris State. So this is one of my favorite gets so far. I mean, it's early, but Trinidad Chambless, this kid could be a weapon for Ole Miss.
Well, let's grade it. Where do you have it? Elite, all league, winnable plus, winnable minus. Going into this year, Trinidad Chambliss, we got to realize that he's not going to be the starter week one. That's Austin Simmons' job. But overall, the way he plays the game and how he fits for Lane Kiffin, where's this rank for you?
I'm gonna go again. I like this take a lot. I'm gonna go winnable minus though. I just think they're not gonna go win because of Trinidad Chambliss. I think again because you got to think as many plays as they play in a football. He's only gonna be participating if Austin Simmons wins the job so much. So the percentage of him participating in that game. Now it could be some big impact plays in the red zone, but I'm gonna go winnable plus. But I still love this piece. I think it's almost like in baseball they just picked up a big time closer or something. Like a lot of people won't talk about it, but it's a little bit like that pickup, man. That's going to win them that could win them some games down the stretch. But I think overall, big picture ceiling wise, I just can't put the backup quarterback as a winnable plus heading into the season. So I'm going to go winnable minus, but definitely trending up. So I love this take. And that was a chestnut checkers move by the Ole Miss personnel department, Lane Kiffin.
Winnable minus, again, it's a backup quarterback that you don't want to see play more than a certain number of reps, and the reps that he's utilizing, it's probably inside the red zone. It's probably to go ahead and move the sticks on fourth down. It's Lane getting aggressive and switching some things up just to go ahead and keep a defense guessing. That's the role for a Trinidad Chambliss this year, but let's just also call it as is. You want to feel good about where you are as a backup quarterback if you have to start him for 2 or 3 games because of an injury. And I think that, again, whether or not we talk about competition, winners win. And Trinidad Chambliss won at Ferris State, and he won a lot of games at Ferris State. And he was a big reason why Ferris State was able to go punch its ticket to a D2 national championship. And he was a big reason why this team was able to kind of go ahead and find its footing, and he was a representative for the Harlan Hill Trophy. So I'm getting a winner. And at the end of the day, that is priority number one. Am I getting somebody that has already played at a high enough level to understand what the stakes are? Absolutely, which means he can be cool, calm, collective, inside the pocket whenever you need him to, on red zone design plays. How quickly can he get caught up with the offense? That's going to be a priority. How quickly can he build that rapport with the wide receivers? That's another priority. And as long as the moment isn't too big for him playing in the SEC from the D2 level, that's another priority that if he accomplishes all those things, there is a role for him at least I would say in SEC play.
Bear, I got a good question for you here. Who do you think more in a dual impact backup role this year, heading into the season right now on April 15th? Deuce Knight, Trinidad Chambless.
You're killing me because if I want to say Deuce Knight, but I'm going to say Trinidad because I trust Lane Kiffin's offense.
I agree. Yeah.
I
think they're bringing him in for a specific kind of reason. And I trust Lane Kiffin putting his guys in position to succeed more right now than I do Hugh Freeze.
The other thing, it's Lane and the transfer portal. Look at the laundry list of names that we have seen make the transition into Oxford and leave as a better NFL prospect because of it. It's very hard to doubt him. And the other thing that's also fun, nobody else in the SEC would be looking at Ferris State film on a Saturday afternoon and just say, oh, I want that dude. You want to know what he's doing? It's that 3D checkers, but it's 4D chess, because if he's saying there's a school in the MAC, there's a school in Conference USA, there's a school that would make him the starting quarterback, I'm going to give him an NIL deal to where he's just going to be a backup for me, but I feel really good about it, and I'm going to have him on my roster, and you're not. That's what makes Lane Kiffin so awesome when he does these type of things.
Yeah, no, I love the take.
Like, review, hit subscribe. Make sure that you're following us on the social channels. Dave and I will be back probably very soon to break all these videos down. And if not tonight, you can see us on Thursday when we do the Overtime Drive mailbag show. So make sure
get the questions in.
Make sure you get your questions in. Make sure you get your comments in. Make sure that you're following us on the social channels, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at SEC Unfiltered. Follow Dave at Dave Shumate SEC, me at Mr. Cole Thompson. Check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. For Dave Shumate, I am Cole Thompson. Happy Portal Eve, whatever you want to call it, because the portal officially opens tomorrow. And I promise you, stay locked in, because unlike last year, there's going to be some things that happen in this year's portal that are absolutely going to change the outlook, not just the SEC, but college football in general. Until next time, peace.